everyone. Welcome to FreeThinker's Fireside. My name is Human. Also, my name is Human. I am a human. Wow. Okay. Anyway, let's try that again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to FreeThinker's Fireside, where we put the human and humanness one cozy chat at a time. My name is Helen, also known as Hell's Bells. And before we get to the guest, again, I'm going to promote our wonderful friend, Secular Rarities fundraiser that is coming up this coming Monday. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to do the pod. So there we go.
Join us on March 31st at 5:30 p.m. Central Time as we launch Secular Rising US, a brand new nonprofit organization dedicated to connecting and supporting atheists, humanists, and secular people. We'll bring on a bunch of awesome guests and talk about all the cool things we already have planned for this year. So hang out with us as we build a home for secular people. Secular Rising US, where secular people find their people.
Okay, I did the shilling, everybody. Did my job. All right. So now we can say hi to Ethan. So let's bring Ethan on. Hello, Ethan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. Man, Secular Rarity has such a calming voice. I love his intro video.
Yeah, I was impressed. It was he might have to rival Seth for soothing voice in the atheist activist community.
I'm gonna give Seth the overall win on this one.
You're gonna give him the win.
Yes, I'm gonna give him the win.
SR can be runner-up.
Yes, so. He is runner-up. I don't know if you know, but I'm producing that show.
Oh, awesome! So I'll be there. So it'll be a good time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to be a guest?
I am going to be a guest. So just so you all know, I will be a guest with Maya Atkinson's co-host on her channel. Do I remember his name? No, but he's a doctor. So there's that. I just met him for the first time like 2 weeks ago. So that's and I have object permanence. If you're not in front of me directly, you don't exist. So
that's an ADHD trait, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. We have object permanence.
I understand
problems.
that.
Yeah. Like if you DM me, I'm like, and I get all excited. Thank you, Dr. Kip. Yeah, Dr. Kip. Thank you. Yeah, Tapio Weasel. Yes, thank you, AJ. Yes, thank you. This is why I have smart friends. Tell me these things.
I feel you on that one.
So, yeah. So me and Dr. Kip are going to be the last two guests on the pod, the fundraiser pod on Monday. So, because cool. I gave SR side eye.
All right. That reminds me. I got to message him. I got to see what time it starts because I got to be ready like a half hour prior to. It starts. So
it begins. Right? It starts at 6 p.m. Central because I have it for 7 on my calendar. So.
Oh, okay.
So
Where
6 p.m.
located
Central.
Anyway?
I'm in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Or the penis of America. So.
Well, I'm sorry that you live in Florida.
I am too.
You're stuck with DeSantis, and oh my God, I can't imagine that.
Listen, to be fair, every place is a hellscape right now. So some places are less of a hellscape, but I feel like soon we're all going to be on even ground. So for the worse. Yay. Wonderful. Anyway, let's not talk about the existential hellscape we live in. Who are you and what do you do? And the things.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I don't know what I do. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know what
I several years back, it's been about 4 or 5 years now, I started a YouTube channel. And I was actually trying for about 2 to 3 years prior. I was like this angry atheist on Facebook before I was the friendly atheist. And I was trying to get everybody to debate me. And I couldn't get anyone to debate me on camera. And finally, my friend who was a Christian who goes by the name Larry the Christian, agreed to debate me. And
I love that name.
Larry
I
the
love
Christian.
it. Larry the Christian. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. If it wasn't for him, I would not be a YouTuber right now. Anything in the past 4 years would not have happened. He found my StreamYard platform for me. He agreed to debate me. He only had one rule. He said it had to be friendly and there couldn't be any insults. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. And he absolutely, first, we did our first broadcast over WebEx, but it wasn't live. It was private. And I got demolished in this debate. Like, he destroyed me. And then we did a second debate, and he destroyed me in that one. And then he found StreamYard, which is what I use today. And for a few weeks, we started debating each and every week, and I started catching on and learning. I was, studying some ACA shows, some other shows, and my channel got started. And then he found my first 4 guests. And after he found my first 4 guests, are you familiar with Puck?
Yes, I know Puck. I know Puck from the ACA, and I was trying to start stuff, and then I never took hold because, again, the ADHD is strong. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So Puck found me, and he introduced me into another YouTuber who was a part of the ACA. And that YouTuber came on my show. And then after that, the ball just started rolling, and I started getting all these YouTubers. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm talking to every atheist YouTuber I've ever wanted to talk to. So in summary, yes, I am an atheist political YouTuber. And Clyde, if you friended me on Facebook, and I'll accept it. I'll go through my friend requests when I get off Facebook. If your name's not Clyde, let me know what your name is, because I've been kind of hesitant to accept friend requests. So as long as your name's Clyde,
Clyde's good people.
I'll accept it.
I can vouch for Clyde. He good people.
Okay. Does he go by Clyde though on Facebook?
Yes, he goes by Clyde. Rob's here. Hi, Rob. Rob's here. Yay.
I don't know you, but hi, Rob.
Rob's from Recovering from Religion. He
cool.
did RFRX. We used to do RFRX together and stuff. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I know all the best people. I really do. I know all the best people.
Yeah, that's one thing that's great about this community is you really do meet so many people, and they're all so kind and welcoming. Okay, I shouldn't say all. I'll say most.
A good portion.
A good portion, yes.
A good
because
portion.
There is a lot of infighting in the liberal community.
Yes. Which is part of our problem.
It is.
I'm very tired of people cutting off their nose to despite their face. I'm like, listen, dudes, my people.
Let's work together.
We need to work together, and we all need to learn from each other and grow together. Like, you can't, just because someone's making you, like, you don't have to agree with everything, but like, we have to find a balance.
Exactly. Republicans, as much as I disagree with them and they drive me up a wall, they've got their shit together. They're on the same page. We liberals are not on the same page, and we're constantly fighting over some of the smallest things where we need to work together to grow. Because if we were working together, Donald Trump would not have won this election. Would you agree or disagree?
Like, they do close the ranks, and well, it's very simple messaging. Like, okay, like, this is the thing about, like, being a liberal, especially being a progressive liberal, is that we're very good at pointing out problems, but like, it's not as us versus them. Everybody, like, it's systemic. There's sociology, psychology, personal politics that bleed into social politics, and so on and so forth. So it's not easy. Like,
right.
We understand that this is a multi-tiered thing where Republicans can just do very good branding. So
they are. That's exactly what Clyde just said. Republicans are better at branding and messaging. And Clyde is 100% right. We are
Right.
terrible at uniting.
Right. And then there's the whole thing about like appearances, and it's just it's a thing. Which I understand, because it is hard to kind of remind myself, and I'm sure you've done this too, that like everybody's on a journey.
Mm-hmm. It's
And
never
part of that
ending
journey, yeah, part of that journey is that sometimes you're gonna fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Or say the wrong thing, or talk to the wrong person, and you can't, and like, well, this person's problematic, and it's like, well, I didn't know the person was problematic.
Right. And
You
then
know,
you get
or
canceled for platforming a quote problematic person. By the way, Clyde, while I was just talking, I accepted your friend request. But yeah, dude, I've had people message me on both, comment on my YouTube channel or message me through Facebook saying, like, why are you friends with this person? This person has this issue, or this person has this issue. It's like, come on, man. Everyone's got a problem. We don't all align on everything. Just let it go.
well, I think, well, also too, like, there's a difference between, like, obviously, if someone's actively a butthead, like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
of
platform
course.
them on my channel. But if you're like not well versed in, like, trans rights, or Black Lives Matter or something like that, like, you're just not well. There's a difference between being like willfully ignorant and not educated. Like, there's two different
Yes.
things. And so if somebody's like, well, they didn't say the best thing about these type of people in the past, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, is it because of lack of education, or is it like they're being willfully ignorant and they're not interested in growing and learning? Because, like, there's plenty of things I don't know.
Same, dude.
Does that mean that if I say the wrong thing, does that mean like I'm a bigot and a terrible person? No, I'm just not educated.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely. I am not the most educated person. I may be a liberal activist, but I have a long way to go before
Yeah.
I know as much as everyone else. To give you an example, when I first became a liberal, I was still to be clear, I don't want this taken out of context. I am not of this opinion now, but in the beginning, I was opposed to trans rights. I was uneducated. I didn't know better, but I learned. And that's why I think it's really important that we give people a chance and try to do better and educate them.
Yeah, and that's the issue, I think. As far as what I think is, like, if we're trying to build community, basically, is that if we start saying like, well, you weren't 100% on this thing, or you weren't 100% on that thing, or you talked to this person, or you talked to that person, it's like, listen, I mean, like, even people that just don't know, but like, they're very knowledgeable on other types of ideas, and that I want to talk to that person because I want to learn and grow as a human being. But there might be things that they're ignorant about, like, or they're
Right.
uneducated about. So we can't talk to those people at all. Like, I understand, like, don't platform bigots, that I get. I don't want to platform
Of
bigots,
course.
but again, what are we talking about?
Right. And that brings up my problem with some liberals within the community is they wait, what are you doing?
I'm waving to Kyle. I wave to my
okay.
cat.
I'm like, wait, did I do something wrong? Did I say something
when
wrong?
somebody's talking, but I also see a friend in the chat, like, I wave at my chat.
No, and that's my issue. Is some of them just aren't willing to give other people the time of day, and they want you to cancel them. I had that in the beginning of my YouTube career. I had someone reach out to me, and actually, this has happened a few times where people got upset, and I'm not going to name names, where they were upset with someone I platformed, and the person that I platformed was by no means a bad person, and I didn't agree with what they were saying at all, but they basically said I was a terrible person and blocked me and left it at that. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, like, unless you could point out why this person is legitimately bad, I'm not going to block them, or I'm not going to not interview them.
Yeah. and I get it. Like, and we're all very sensitive to like these sort of things. Like if you talk, like if someone, like, you know, if I was going to have them on my show and then someone's like, hey, don't have this person because they're like awful to trans people, I'd be like, okay, then I'm not going to have them on the show.
Right.
Like what full, like just knows about trans people and think they're like innocent asshole. And then I'm like, no, obviously I'm not going to have them on the show. But if they're not educated on like, you know, actual trans topics and things like that, like, okay, well, then they didn't take a gender studies course. You know, like, you know, maybe they just need to have, like, you just need to sit down with them for half an hour and just be like, hey, and also, you know, just kind of educate them, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that, and again, like, I know everybody, like, I know that we don't have to be, nobody wants to be somebody's teacher. I get it. I do. But if you have the kindness and the patience to do that, I think that would be beneficial, you know, like, but you want to start and then point them to resources so they can educate themselves more. Because again, I always say, don't take my word for it, you know, look up stuff.
Right. And, you know, and that's the thing is I 100% fully understand. Like I have trans friends, and a few of them have expressed to me how they just don't want to waste the energy on explaining why they should have basic human rights to Republicans. And I totally respect that.
Right.
So to me, that's where I should come in, and I should do the work to help them out in any way I can to explain to these right-leaning people why trans people should have rights.
Yeah, you would think that. Like, well, and also too, like, for someone that's already, what's the word I'm looking for? For someone that may not be sensitive to trans people and not willing to listen to them, maybe they're not the person to educate, you know, someone that is either ignorant or even a transphobe on why trans people deserve rights. Like yeah, I get that, because it's too emotionally close. Like if you're part of a marginalized group, like, I'm sorry, I don't really feel like explaining to people, you know, being a woman and being queer and being polyamorous and an atheist all at the same time in a conversation with someone that would be antithetical to my, you know, rights as a person. Like, I don't think, like, that person I don't want to talk to, because I'm like, no, because you're not seeing me as a person, you know. But if I got somebody else to explain it, like a cis straight man to, you know, Mr. Ignorant Bumfuck, please do it for me.
So, if you don't mind my asking, are you in a polyamorous relationship, or are you just poly?
We're not in a polyamorous relationship right now. We were, and then we went through a lot of life changes, so we ended up ending it, and so we're just poly. But with, like, we've kind of had this space of what type of poly relationships we want, and it basically, we want to sleep with our friends. We want friends with benefits.
You're a swinger.
No, because
no, that's a swinger.
That's different. Nope, that's different. Nope, no. Because let me explain the difference. Is that I have close person. Okay, so to me, swingers are the people that go to, like, and there's swing parties, and I'm not kink shaming at all. Keep in mind, this is not what I'm doing. Where they, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a free for all. Like, you're kind of acquaintances, but, like, you know, there's no emotion. There's really no emotional attachment. You know, which is fine. Like, that's fine. Like, do that. I don't care. I have very close friendships with people that I love and care about. I'm just adding a pleasure aspect to it rather than, you know, just being strictly platonic. And because there's different levels of friendships that you can have. But also at the same time, I don't want you moving into my house and putting your shit in my house, because that drives me crazy. And that's when I realized that I was like, no, like, I have boundaries.
So I have to slightly disagree with you. I think.
Okay, you can slightly disagree with me. It's fine. I don't agree with you.
That's fine. We don't have to agree.
No, it's fine.
Swinging gets an incorrect representation of what it is. My girlfriend and I are swingers, and 95% of the people we swing with are some of our closest friends. It's not just where we go to a party and wait, is swearing allowed or no swearing allowed?
I just swore. I say.
Oh, I
swear
missed
all
it.
the time.
Okay.
I'm not monetized yet, so it's fine.
Yes, we have fucked some random strangers before, but 90 to 95% of the people we have sex with are our friends. Like the majority for the past 3 years after we got, which is also referred to the lifestyle. And for those that don't know, the symbol of the swinger is an upside down pineapple. And I was watching a chef show, and this girl had an upside down pineapple tattooed on her forearm. And I was like, oh, that's a swinger. Anyways, so for the past 3 years, it's not been new people. It's been our friends. We go to these private parties and we form friendships. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think also too, for like as someone that is a female, and it can be weird. I'm very picky. And I'm not saying that swingers aren't picky. That's not what I'm saying. So don't take this out of context. But I guess like because I was in the kink community and
like when you say kink community, do you mean like the BDSM community?
I was in the BDSM community, and I was also in, and I've been in other community, queer communities, and so on and so forth throughout my life. But my brain has like definitely like, and I think it's nuanced, you know, like like you're saying,
absolutely.
like, well, you are swinging, and I'm like, am I? Because like I have like I consider like swinging like 1970s swinging parties. Like that is where my brain goes. Like, you know, car keys and a fishbowl.
Swinging has changed since then.
So I might be, I mean, like, you know, I'm a zennial, I'm old. So I might have a different perspective on that, but that's kind of, you know, my kind of where but also I don't want to be in a full-blown relationship with another person, like, you know, an intimate relationship, because one, I don't have the emotional currency. I just don't. And two,
I'm sorry,
like
what did you say? We
tried, my dude. What?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. You said you don't have the emotional what?
Currency.
Currency. Okay. Go. Sorry, continue.
Okay. Yeah. So so we're in those type of relationships, like we tried, and I like my ex-girlfriend used to come over, and she would put her makeup on my bathroom counter, and for some reason it drove me nuts, because I'm like, this is my space. Like, and you're kind of like halfway moving, like it just like I was like, okay, I cannot live with other people other than my husband. And like I have a roommate and I live with my kid, but they have their own space at the other side of the house, not on this side. So you know, it's kind of the levels of sexual and emotional intimacy that I have are more nuanced. So I think, like, because I have that old idea of swinging, like I consider it different than having a sexual and intimate relationship with someone that I am not living with.
Yeah. Swinging has definitely evolved since the 80s. It's more community based, it's more friendly, it's more about forming friendships. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of assholes in the community. And like I'll tell a story. And to be clear, I'm not saying this guy was an asshole, because he's not an asshole. He's an absolute sweetheart, one of the nicest guys, but he got the wrong impression from me and my girlfriend. He's married, and his wife has one or two partners, so they're poly. And he got the wrong impression from my girlfriend. And I know my girlfriend very well. She didn't give the wrong impression, but he asked if she would be his girlfriend. And she was like, whoa, hold the phone. Like, That's not what me and Ethan do. We are not poly. We don't go beyond that. We can be friends, but that's where it stays. And at first, I was like, oh, whatever, it's no big deal. But as time went on, it actually started to bother me a little bit because I was talking to a friend and I was telling him about this. And he's like, dude, everyone in the community knows you two aren't poly. They all know you're just swingers and form friendships, and that's where it ends. And there's nothing else to it. And this guy knew that. So at first I was like, whatever, he just misunderstood. But as time progressed, I was like, you know what? I'm a little bothered by it, but I have let it go. I don't want to let it bother me. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know he has good intentions. I think he just got the wrong idea. But
yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I wasn't in the situation, but also too, like, maybe he did know it, but maybe he felt an emotional connection that, read more into things, and there was like, maybe like, would you be my girlfriend? And your girlfriend was like, no. But he wasn't being an asshole about it. Like,
not at all.
So I like, even if something is true, you as a person that's selfish, because people are selfish, like, maybe I'm in the exception. I'm gonna try.
I give poly people credit because, okay, any type of open relationship, swinging, open, poly, requires an exorbitant amount of trust. But for me, poly people requires the highest level of trust. And I don't know if that's being unfair to open and swingers. I'm not poly, but I do think poly people require the most trust because,
like, we're poly light. I like to say we're poly light. Like, we're not full poly. And
so what would that mean? Like, what does that look like?
Like I said, like, I want to have a relationship with you because I'm demisexual. Like, I'm attracted to people's minds. Like, I think you're pretty, but if you and I can't connect on an intellectual and emotional level, like, you're not getting in my pants. I'm so sorry for you. Like, not gonna happen. I have standards, but these are my standards. Like, these are healthy standards. Where I think, and I think knowing that distinction about yourself. So, but also at the same time, you're not moving in with me, and we're gonna hang out and watch. We're gonna hang out and just be friends sometimes too, and play Dungeons and Dragons, and sometimes we might sleep together, and then you go home.
Right.
And then I send you stupid memes on Messenger. That's our relationship. Like, I'm not looking for you to, like, and I think because I've been married for so long, me and my husband have been together for 20 years. We are very settled. Like, I am not interested in trying to, like, it's very hard as you get older and you get very settled into yourself and your routines, and you want, like, and sexual relationships are important, but they're not as important as they were when you were younger.
Exactly.
That it morphs and changes as you get older. So I want intimacy and I want closeness and sexual touch and non-sexual touch. And I think all that stuff is really important. But also at the same time, I don't want another full-blown relationship because one's enough.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And my husband and I were so used to each other, and we're used to each other's habits, and the things about each other drives us crazy, and also things that brings about each other brings us joy. So doing all that again as someone that's going to be 48 in 2 weeks, I'm not doing that again.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before I get to my next point, I always blank. What's the difference between demisexual and pansexual?
Pansexual, so like, I'm polysexual and I'm demisexual.
Okay, then I need to know the difference.
Polysexual means I'm attracted to most genders, but not all of them. And this is again, this is complicated. I think just because, and I think this is the only reason why I made this distinction is because I like the polysexual flag better than the bisexual flag. So I'm just doing it on aesthetic. but like pansexual people are attracted to all genders. But again, like poly and pan can and bi all kind of all flirt with each other. They're all kind of in the same pool. So, I'm like, I make my distinction a little bit different than pansexual, though the two it's a little more nuanced, and you only have to live in my brain to kind of understand it. Like other polysexual people get it, but if you talk to pan or bi people, they're like, they do this, and I'm like, it's a thing for us people that are poly. Where demisexual is that you're attracted to someone's intellect over like a physical attraction. So I find people's minds more attractive than their physical appearance.
Okay, so
like yes, I can look at certain people like Idris Elba, and I will climb that man like a tree. But he's a pretty man.
He is a great looking individual.
He's a great looking human being, and but also, like, I've heard him like do interviews, and I've heard him talk about the activism, and that makes him more attractive to me because he's a compassionate person and he's smart. So that adds to my attraction.
Okay.
Like, so, it adds to it. Like I can, but because there are plenty of people that I've looked at, and I'm like, I would like to tap that, and then they open their mouth, and I'm like, oh no, and then my vagina is like just dry up.
Nope. No, I get that. So then, with those definitions laid out, I would say my girlfriend and I are demisexual. We need to be attracted to someone's intelligence. There has to be a conversation. You could be the most attractive person on the planet, but if you have no personality or you can't intellectually stimulate me in any way, I'm done. Okay, let me read this question. Why is it okay for the woman in a male-female primary relationship to be with a woman in it, but it's not okay with a man in a male-female primary relationship to be with men? Okay, so that's kind of a hard question to answer. I think the tides are shifting, and there is a lot more women that are okay with men being with other men. So, for example, my girlfriend is very turned on by a man with another man. It excites her. But there are plenty of women like this.
Me and your girlfriend can hang out. Be friends.
And to Clyde's point, in the swinging community, there is a lot of prejudice. If you go there at face value, everyone seems like the sweetest, most kindest, least judgmental people. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll see bi men and gay men are not welcome. Now, don't get me wrong. There are private parties, like one of our couple friends, they throw parties at their houses every couple months. And it's strictly LGBT, well, not strictly, but it's LGBTQIA plus swingers party where everyone is welcome. But then on the flip side, I was at a club one night and I was talking to the club owner with a couple other friends. And this club owner was like, and I know this is going to sound offensive. I'm not saying it. I'm repeating what the club owner said. He goes, yeah, that gay shit between two men, I don't want that in my club. We don't need that shit here. And it was like, after that, I was like, wow, I really don't want to come back to this place. So I can't give you a definitive answer on why one is okay than the other. All I can say is there's a negative.
You want me to tell you why?
Yeah, sure.
Tell you why? Misogyny.
Yeah, misogyny. Okay.
It's misogyny because I can tell you, as someone that has had I was in a relationship with my ex-husband that used my bisexuality against my sexuality against me, and being with someone that doesn't. That, and because also too, there's this idea that in the queer community and in the poly community, there are distinctions. Like, because even still, if you are a polysexual man or a bi man, you just haven't made up your mind. Where like women, we're supposed to, and also too, because this idea that men can't have close relationships with other men unless you're gay, which is toxic and bad. And also too, like, well, you're not, well, why would you want to sleep with a man when you're with a woman, and it's just like, well, no, like sexuality is diverse. And it's because one, men have to be the gatekeepers of women's sexuality. That's one. And two, it's because of this idea that either the person that you sleep with is supposed to be the receptacle of your, emotional and sexual, experiences. That is not true. And it's because and also too is the idea of, it's also this idea that because sexuality has to be dictated by men, and also to be dominant is the idea that if you have a close relationship with a man, but you're also with women, you can't have both. That's stupid. And I'm saying it's stupid. It's dumb.
Right.
Because of misogyny, because men are supposed to be the gatekeepers of sexuality. Gay sex is still seen weird and kind of gross. And even within, even within progressive, kink positive people, there is this idea of poly or bi men or pan men that no, you have to choose. Which is gross, and and it's completely stupid. It's very stupid.
So oh crap, ADHD just kicked in. Damn it!
This guy has the ADHD. I'm telling you, strong. There's two of us, so and I'm the host. I gotta keep things on track.
It happens to me all the time.
So, have you found that in the communities that your girlfriend in, that there is this sort of weirdness about bi or poly or pan men, that they're people have a hard time wrapping their more with women. They're like, yeah, that's fine because two women together are hot, but two men. Yeah. Yep. There you go.
See? To give you an example, I have a friend in the swingers community.
Porn and misogyny.
To give you an example, I have a friend or couple in the lifestyle community that he is bi. His wife is bi, but she doesn't want him partaking with other men. She doesn't like that he's bi, and therefore she forbids him from playing with other men, which to me is just one, completely unacceptable, and two, so prejudiced. You're telling me you're allowed to play with other women, but your husband can't play with other men? That's just shitty. But she told him one day she found it icky and gross. And it's that's the stigma around bi men. To be clear, it wasn't until about 1 month to 5 weeks ago where I finally, for the first time, came out as bi on my channel. And the only reason I found the courage to do that was because my girlfriend, not only being so supportive of it, but constantly telling me how hot she finds it. So it was okay, yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for her,
I love you. That's so great. Whenever someone it comes out and has the bravery to come out, I'm I love you, because and you felt that you were safe enough to do it.
I did. And I remember the first how graphic can we get without being too explicit?
You can, this is not a family friendly show.
Okay.
So you're you can. You're a smart person. You know how to use it. You don't have to go positions or what you.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, all right,
but
cool.
like we're adults.
The first LGBT,
and I'm not going to be demonetized, so don't worry.
First LGBTQIA plus swingers event my girlfriend and I were invited to, I was terrified. I was so scared, and she was excited, and I like the whole way there. I was like, so you're not going to be grossed out by me if I'm intimate with other people, right? She's like, no. She's like, it's hot. I'm like, are you sure? Like, you're not going to think I'm disgusting, right? And I just kept reiterating that and asking it over and over. And she's like, Ethan, relax. She's like, it's attractive. It's hot to me. I don't care. You're not going to gross me out. So she gave me all the reassurance in the world, which was such a great feeling. So I do, in that aspect, have a very supportive girlfriend.
No, and that's really great. And I think that's what people need to know, that to this topic. I don't have Kyle, I don't have the ability to do call in on my show. So I don't have a phone number. If I start making all the money, I'll do this topic again. Ben's here. Hi, Ben. Ben's one of my favorite
Dr. Ben! Oh my God. I wish he was on the show right now.
Ben, Ben needs to be on the show, because then we can talk about poly shit together. I had to schedule Ben on my shows. I had to schedule Ben. We're gonna make it happen. You know what's gonna make it happen, because like AJ's gonna be in my show after the day after my no, we rescheduled. I don't know. We're gonna like AJ's gonna be on my show soon. So regardless, like it is one of those things that when we're having a supportive person, that like because my ex-husband, like he didn't want me sleeping with other men. He could sleep with other women, and I could sleep with other women, but I couldn't sleep with men. And I was like, that's a double standard.
Right.
And when I was younger and I didn't have the self-esteem to be like, no, fuck off. Yeah, it is April 28th. Thank you, AJ, for reminding me. And then I'm with my current husband, and we were monogamous for a number of years because it was like a growth thing. And then now we're at this point where, we're, able to be very solid with each other. And it's like, listen, I go, we have rules that we follow and boundaries. And as long as we're respecting those boundaries, like as long as you're being open and honest with me about everything, and I'll do the same for you. That's the most important thing, is the trust, because it doesn't like so the ACA lets me do a TikTok every Tuesday night where I do live. So if anybody wants to come watch me on TikTok on Tuesday nights, that's where I am. So, and I was talking to a Christian who was like, well, he didn't like porn, and he thought that, having, being queer was not okay, and being like, if you're in the kink community or anything out of heteronormative, like vanilla shit, is just not okay. And I kept asking him why. I go, because we definitely know the distinction between cheating and open relationships. Like even if you're in an open relationship, if somebody does something behind your back, that is cheating.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. That's what I was just gonna say. So here's one of the things, and most people will not agree with me on this. I don't like the term vanilla to define people who are monogamous. It just, to me, there's this natural implication that their relationship is boring or plain.
No, this is not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Is that, like, I'm not saying it's boring, because again, you have, like, let's look at it like a sundae, and you have vanilla ice cream on itself. It's great. And then you can add stuff to that, and we're not talking about it, but this is the idea, is that anything out of heteronormative sex roles and gender roles is not okay. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not talking about, like, because I don't have any problem in any sort of degree. Like if you want to be monogamous, I don't care. If you're poly, I don't care. If you're somewhere in between, I don't care. As long as everybody being consensual adults and everybody's like being honest and not hurting anybody, I don't care. Because for the most part, right now, I mean, like we're poly, but right now we're very monogamous. Know, just because that's the way we're living right now, and that's fine. But I think, and again, vanilla, I say like it's always something that you can build on, and also vanilla ice cream on its own is wonderful. So,
it is. I'm lactose intolerant, so I always have to get a lactose-free ice cream. But I'll sometimes punish myself. I love vanilla custard. I love vanilla ice cream, and I'll just.
Oh my god, vanilla custard! There's a place called Sweet Berries here, and not far from my work, and their vanilla custard is the shit. It is so
I love
good, and I'm like, oh, I love myself. It is so good. I wish, as I used to say that. Celery had 200 calories and chocolate cake had 2. Like, so I want to live in that world.
And one of the things I wanted to kind of expand on something you said is the cheating aspect. You could be poly, you could be open, you could be ethical, non-monogamous, and you could cheat. None of the monogamous women I went out with these. That was amazing. Oh my god.
Oh, I love my friends. Kelly. I love my friends so much. Anyway, keep going.
That
you were worried that you would not have content for an hour and a half. I'm like, you'll have content.
Oh, that was a good one. Okay, so
yeah. All right. Anyway, keep going.
I'm trying to gather myself.
We'll go. Kelly, you broke me beneath it.
I wasn't expecting that at all. Okay.
Okay, keep going. What were we talking about?
So, anyways, whether you're poly, open, swinging, ethical, non-monogamous, you can be a cheater. You have to establish your own boundaries. For example, if right now I told my girlfriend I was going out with another woman, we have very strict rules. No, let me take that back. That's a bad word. I don't like that word. We don't have strict rules. We have limited rules. So if we're at a party or a play event, we're allowed to have sex with other people. We just have to know that, like, we have to be able to communicate with the other person. So we're not allowed to have sex with strangers. And I don't even really like the term allowed, because it's not like she's saying no, and it's not like I'm saying no. It's just like we want the other person to know that we are partners and they need to respect us. Like, there are guys, like at one party, the guy came up, he talked to us both. He included me in the conversation. He was very respectful towards me. So when she wanted to play with him, it was like, okay, cool. This guy has shown me the respect. He's treated me like a person. Fine. Go have fun. But if someone tries to ignore me, or a girl tries to ignore her, then it's like, you know what, this person's not respecting our partner. It's not okay. So I know that may be a weird rule for some, but respect is a big thing for us. And there was something else I wanted to say. There was a question that came up, and now I'm going to have to scroll up. Hang on.
Yeah, scroll up. But so while you scroll up, I'm going to talk. Here. Okay, go ahead. You've had the question, so go.
Clyde said, I wanted to ask if you were bi, but it's still not socially acceptable to ask sexual orientation. So I don't personally care. If someone wants to ask my sexual orientation, it doesn't bother me. But yes, you're right. It's not socially acceptable at all. And it kind of sucks, because it's like we should be able to communicate. Sex shouldn't be taboo. But at the same time, I respect other people and I'm not going to ask. However, if we are in a sexual environment, then to me, in the opinion of, I would agree with most people in the swinging environment, it is completely acceptable if you're before the playing starts to say, hey, are you into men or are you into women? Or hey, can I touch you? Like, to give you an example, the first time Jessica and I can use her name, she doesn't care. Jessica and I, when we first got together, she had a history of open relationships. So I was super, super fucking intimidated. I'm like, oh my God, there's this girl. She's done all these things. She's had all this sex. How do I top that? So it was almost like a competition for me. So one day I looked up some swingers clubs on Google and I found a few. And then we were driving in the car and I said, so, hey, Jess, I found a swingers club. Would you have any interest in going? And she was like, hell yeah, I would. And I was like, oh, sweet. So like I introduced her to swinging and into all these new intimate situations and friendships, which made me very happy because as a man, it's very easy to feel insecure sexually if you're in competition with someone's past. So it made me feel good that I was able to introduce her to new things. I was going somewhere with this, and now I no longer know where I was going with it.
It's fine. You'll come back to you later. We'll have it. We'll go on a different track. You'll be like, oh, and then it'll come back.
Yes.
It's the ADHD way. but well, also too, like there's this whole idea that other side for okay, so here it is.
I figured it out. Okay. So real quick, I'll make it quick.
I'm ready to go.
So the first time in a swingers environment when we met another couple, I was terrified. So it was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, she can play with another woman, but I don't want her playing with other men. And I was terrified of it. It took me months till I could get to the point to be okay with her playing with other men. And she never pressured me. She never made me feel like it had to be acceptable. But she always did say one thing. She goes, what's the difference? We're all just having fun. And she was right. It was no difference. Now it's like, I don't care if it's a man or a woman, whatever. If we all click, if we're all here to have fun, let's all have fun. But I was tremendously insecure the first time that was going to happen.
Well, and that comes down to this idea that men have to be the gatekeepers of a woman's sexuality, and that if she has pleasure or a good time with another penis, that
it's a bad
somehow
thing.
That says something. And it says something about you, like you're a cuck, or you're not satisfying her the way that you want to. And I'm like, no, that's not what this says. Like that doesn't say anything
about cucking.
Which I don't think is a bad thing. Like, let me make it clear. I don't think it's a bad thing. But in the social context, we use it as a pejorative, derogatory term, and I don't think that's fair because I say jokingly as one, but I do not think it's a bad thing, because like whatever your kink is, man, as long as everybody's being consenting adults, why are you fucking worried about it?
Exactly. So I have gotten, because I talk about and defend open relationships a lot on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah. So I can't tell you how many times
You're still in the bad place?
Oh, no, not anymore. Not
okay. Are you on BlueSky like an adult?
I still have an account, but I don't use Twitter anymore. But when I did,
come on BlueSky, where all those cool people are. Like I'm on there. Seth is on there. Like all the cool people are on BlueSky.
So that's where, like, I was discussing with a friend the definition of cuck, because I had two friends I spoke to who we fundamentally disagreed on what it was. Now, I've been called a cuck a million times, and to me,
you're not talking about your topic at all. But this is fine. Like, I think this is great.
Should we move to the topic?
No. Hold on. this actually leads into community building, because the kink community and the queer community are communities. And how do we talk about these things? Like, how do we have open conversations about like being part of these communities? And how do we build a bridge? Because
Right.
so they're not mutually exclusive. So, haha, I brought it all together. Keep going.
So people use cuck as a bad term, and it shouldn't be a
Yeah.
bad term. But I think the way I understand the definition of the word cuck is they enjoy the humiliation aspect of sex from another male sleeping with their female, or sorry, I know female is no longer acceptable, with their woman partner. Yes, or with their partner. I am not into
you can be a cuck in a gay relationship, or like any gender. This is not.
Oh, you can. I thought it was strictly.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
like
I didn't know that.
It's used. I don't know what the female, like someone that's identified as female, a woman, term would be for cuck. I don't know what that is.
It's still cuck for a woman.
Is it okay? So then it doesn't matter. Okay, so it's all the same, because I don't know. My oldest trans kid was like, "Let me introduce you to terms," and I was like,
"Well, my lady friend, she always says she's a big cuck because of what she enjoys."
Listen, if I can watch you have sex with my man, and I'm like, well, that's a good time for me. I'm sorry, but I find it, but for me, I find it empowering. So I don't know what it is. Like, is it like, does it have to have the humiliation aspect to it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
A lot of people define it as that. So I don't know. Maybe I am a cuck. Maybe I'm not. I'm not into the humiliation aspect of it. So if that's the term you go by, then I would not define myself as a cuck. But on the flip side, I do get. Are you familiar with the word compersion?
Yes.
Okay. I experience great compersion from my girlfriend being intimate with, whether it be with a man or a woman. And I'm not going into details because that's a little too.
Please don't.
Not appropriate. So, but yeah.
No, I'm not family friendly. I am not Turtle X.
No, I'm
like at a PG-13 R rating on the show.
Yeah. I get enjoyment from seeing my girlfriend receive pleasure. I like it. If she's happy, I'm happy. I experience compersion. Like in most parties, swingers parties we've gone to, oftentimes she's played more than I have played. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes the best thing about swingers parties are the friendships you form, or the relationships you make, or even like the private parties. Like, the best memories I have for private swingers parties are when we did some substances and we ended up all laying on the couch or the bed and just cuddling all night in a big cuddle puddle, talking for 4 to 5 hours. Those were the best events ever, even better than sex. So, like, for those who haven't experienced that, let me tell you, a cuddle puddle is one of the best things.
Cuddle puddles are the shit. They're the shit.
Oh, you've experienced one too.
I've experienced a cuddle puddle, and it is the shit.
It is. Like, it's so much fun.
Listen. Like, this is why there's services you can hire to do non-sexual touch.
Right.
It is a service that people charge money for, because one, we are social creatures, and also that's why we love hugs, and this is why and also too, this gets you can be intimate without having sex.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's so important for us as human beings.
Mm-hmm. This is a bit off topic, but
or you're on Molly, one or the other. Like, every episode, or you're on Molly. I haven't done Molly, but I've heard.
Oh my God.
We're not promoting, by the way.
No. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not even gonna go into that then.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that, but
no, okay.
I've honestly just heard. So
we'll talk
anyway,
about
go ahead.
this privately. I'll DM you on Facebook and we'll finish this.
We'll talk. Well, you and I will have a conversation.
Yeah. So, but what I did want to say is when you brought up the topic of hugging and intimacy, I see a doctor, I see a psychiatrist, I see a therapist. I have a slew of mental health issues.
My therapist is my lifeline. I tell her every 2 weeks when I have therapy with her, I'm like, I love you so much. Thank you for listening to me. She's like, I've had my therapist for 2 years and like, she's my maintenance. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I was in my doctor's office and I forgot how it got brought up, but he ends up going, "Hey, so how have you been doing lately?" And just immediately this flood of tears came down my face and I started crying because I have not been doing well. And he stands up. Now we've known each other for a while, so this to me was acceptable. He's like, "Hey, come here." And he gave me the biggest hug. And then he goes, "I don't know if you know this, but a hug releases more endorphins than a hit of morphine." And I was like, I did not know that. But then I sat back down, and then before we left, he gave me another hug. And he's like, "Just don't be so hard on yourself. You're a great guy, Ethan. You're going to be okay." And it was just that moment what meant the world to me, that hug he gave me. And to me, if all doctors were like that, like that could make the world a difference in someone's life because it made a huge difference in the rest of my day.
Right. No, and that's the thing, like this is the thing, like I've talked to people that work in psychology, and they said like some people need hugs, some people need someone to like, hold their hand, some people need like, just like, hand on their shoulder.
Mhm.
Some people just need you to sit next to them and just be like physically close but not, touching.
Right.
I think understanding levels of intimacy is really important, and the fact that he was like, I think you need a hug. Like, one, that he knew you, that you had developed that relationship, that he knew that he could give you a hug. So
Right.
he knew what your level of intimacy was.
Mhm.
That's a very attuned therapist to your needs. Because again, therapy is like dating. Like you want something that's going to be attuned to your needs and what do you need. Now, like my therapist, we do all of our sessions on Zoom. Just because of distance, and also it's the middle of my workday. But that's okay. And then sometimes I cry and then I have to go back into work mode. That's fun. But it is what it is. But having that, this is the thing about like different levels of relationships. If you have a good therapist that's like, this is what you need, let me give you a hug and show you that one, you're going to be okay. And two, like I see you and I hear you. That's really important. And that's not just with therapy. That's with any relationship that you have.
Right.
And that's why, like, especially like with us weird sort of queer poly people, like I want to be very attuned no matter whether you're, my lifelong partner or you're like wherever you are on the spectrum, what do you need from me?
Right.
As long as I have the emotional currency to supply it, I will give that to you. And I will also ask for the same for myself.
I like that term, emotional currency, because I've always used the term spoons. That means the same thing, right? Like, do you have enough spoons?
Ember uses spell slots, which I don't have this. If you play D&D, I don't have the spell slots for that because you only get so many spell slots when you're
I'm not familiar with D&D.
during oh my god! Well, I'm not going to nerd shame you.
My best friend runs YouTube channels and D&D campaigns, but I'm
going to be doing I'm going to be playing D&D and Scott Dickey's campaign with Cindy Plaza.
Oh,
And
Cindy. I love Cindy.
Yeah. So are you on the CD Discord, like ACA Discord? No, you're not.
No, I log into Discord about once a year.
Okay. To be fair, during the plague, I was on Discord a lot. Now I pop in. I promote my show. I promote other people's content. And then I leave. But Scott runs his D&D campaign on the Discord, and my character's joining this week. So I'm going to be there, and I'm going to play with Jamie, and I'm going to play with Cindy, and I'm going to play with 2 of the crew members from the ACA. So it's gonna be a really good time. Is it early? It's 9:00 for me on a fucking Saturday because Cindy's in Belgium. So
yes.
So that's the only reason why. So, but okay, like let me bring it back. Let me bring it back to what we were talking about.
Okay.
So the fact that when we're talking about like, especially in these like polyamorous, like, you know, different sort of what people think relationships are. Now, there tends to be those of us that are in these communities, we're actually leading the conversation on what healthy sexuality and healthy relationships actually look like. Because if you're in these type of relationships, it is constant communication, constantly checking with your partner, constantly saying like, hey, you know, this is what I want. What are you okay with? You know, and then like it is sexual negotiation. You know, and also too, but also kind of pushing people to try something new. Like, for example, you know, when you first started swinging, you're like, I don't want you touching other men.
Yep.
And that's morphed, you know, into something else now because you're just like, why am I holding up onto an idea? You know, because at the end of the day, as long as Jessica loves you and respects you as a person and understands your boundaries, and also for you to do the same thing, that's what it's about. It's not so much about like the sexual, what is going on. It's more about like, for lack of a better term, politics.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like, I hope I'm not going too far. I don't think I am, but just to be clear, I remember one of the first parties, not the first event, but one of the first private parties we went to. As we were walking out the door, one of the girls who is now my girlfriend's best friend took Jessica aside privately and said, just so you know, watch over Ethan tonight. Swinging is a lot harder on men than it is on women. And in my opinion, it is, because you know what? I don't want to go down this road, so I'm going to leave it.
But I think because of misogyny.
Yes.
This all roads lead back to misogyny because you're taught that you're like if you are not sexually gratifying your woman in the way, and if they're seeking out some other sexual pleasure, that you are not doing your job, which is toxic and bad.
Okay, thank you.
And that's toxic and it's toxic and bad. And no, that is not true. We are like, I can look at someone and go, I would like to tap that. Okay, like you do it, we all do it. We like
of
if
course.
You are, unless like, and I think even ace people can look at like, you can look at someone and like find them attractive, or if you're on the queer spectrum, you're like, that is pretty. But if you have like, you know, the sexual part of your brain wakens and like, oh, that's hot. There's this idea that women can find other people hot and they can have, you know, sexual experiences, but men have to dictate it. Like, I'm giving you permission to sleep with other men and other women. I'm allowing you to do these things. But for the man, if it seems like someone's getting a little too intimately close, there's this thing that triggers in them, like, oh, I'm not good enough for them. I'm not satisfying them. This should be the only penis that she wants, blah, 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 blah. That's not true, because there's this idea within our society that women, their sexual, again, should be gate-kept by men. And that,
Sadly,
no.
yes.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So,
well, and I have my moments of jealousy. Like, to give an example, I don't get jealous often. And my girlfriend was making fun of me. She's like, "Ooh, I thought you didn't get jealous. I thought you said jealousy was stupid." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, shut up. Leave me alone." Because this guy started talking to her and he was just jacked, great abs in perfect cut shape. And I'm like,
oh, you should hear my husband when I start talking about Idris Elba. Like, if I'm like, whoo, and he's like, and he'll look at me, and he's just, and I can see like him, like, why do you turn on Helen? And I'm like, because he's pretty.
Idris Elba is pretty. I think he should be the next James Bond, and I stand by that.
Oh my God, yes. Well, okay, like, this is the thing is that I've never seen one James Bond movie, but I have opinions about it, which is just weird. Like, if you've never seen James Bond, but you have opinions about it, that tells you.
Pierce Brosnan is the best James Bond. But anyways,
I just think like Pierce Brosnan is also like mid 20s Helen and Pierce Brosnan, like, who? Sorry, having a moment. Sorry. Not sorry. No, but okay, so like talking about like hot people, but there is this sort of thing, because we also had this thing that in social context, like, everything is like, instinctually we do sexual competition, like, we're apes.
Oh, absolutely.
We're apes. Okay, so the ape part of our brain is like, fuck, procreate, this is mine, blah blah blah. Cool, that's nice. But it takes the adult, the higher thinking of the brain. Thank you, Kyle, for being here. That was awesome. Bye, Kyle. Okay, so that being said, like, that the fact that the higher thinking person, and when you can go, one, yes, I'm having an emotion. Is this emotion rational? And two, have I, like, kind of diagnosed it and looked at it for what it is? I think that takes the human part of us.
Right.
That takes more of that higher thinking, because yes, your emotions are real and they're valid, but are they rational? No, because we're emotional, irrational meatbags.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. So I think that's more of the conversation that, people need to have, because, like, I know there's plenty of monogamous couples that, when they're, even having sex with their partner, will talk and fantasize about the other things that they're doing with other people, and the things that they think about, and it turns on their partner, but going outside of that to actually have the physical relationship, they don't want to do that because that's a little bit too much, but they flirt with it. And and that also is valid and not bad.
No, and there's nothing wrong. Like, if I'm understanding you correctly, like, we all fascinate about other people. And like, that's one of the things that drives me nuts about people who are overly jealous or overly paranoid when they don't want their partner to ever think about or fascinate about someone else. It's like,
which is weird.
It is weird. It's human nature. Like, I've seen posts from women on my Facebook. They're like, if you're in a relationship with me, you better delete every single girl on your Facebook. Like, wait, that's why most people can be attracted to people, but not. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Human.
Thank you, AJ.
Women on my Facebook say that, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're full of shit. Like, you don't get in a relationship and all of a sudden lose the ability to be attracted to other people. You can rationalize. Oh, I missed it.
So if we're not going to use rationalize, what other word would you use?
I don't know.
I'm asking Kelly. Kelly, what were you?
Okay.
But it's one of those things. So like, I think you made a really good point about like, I'm attracted to people all the time. My brain goes, I would like to tap that. It will be.
But that's where it ends.
But that's where it ends. Like, because at the end of the day, I'm a person.
Right.
And one, I don't have the energy. And two, like, yeah, I would say, like, I'm in a relationship. I'm not dead.
Exactly.
And there has to be that, because I remember, like, this was happened when I was a teenager, but one of my friends, and this still sticks with me today, that she was like, she was with her first boyfriend, and she's like, I don't look at other people. I don't look at other men. I'm like, and find them attractive. And I'm like, you what?
That's
And I
not
go,
possible.
I'm like, that's impossible. And she's like, well, I avert my eyes. I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, one, gross. Purity culture, gross. Two, it's weird. It's like, you can only have eyes for your partner. Like, that makes no sense. And
No.
even 30 plus years on, it's still stuck in my brain how fucking stupid that is.
Dude, that reminds me of a video I saw. This guy was recording himself at the gym, and he was about to do a bench press. And then, like, he looked, and then all of a sudden he looked down. It was a TikTok. And then on the screen, the words appeared that sometimes I have to avert my eyes because God has picked out my future wife for me, and I don't want to disrespect her by looking at other women. Like, what?
What?
What exactly? What? You won't look at women now because your future wife.
How do you know she's not
like
your future wife? Like, how do you know? Like, if you walked up to her and struck up a conversation, and you went on a date, and then like 2 years later, you're like walking down the aisle. How do you know, like, she's not your future wife? What
exactly. It makes no sense.
Or you touch her, and then she opens her mouth, and you're like, oh no. Like, what are you talking about? It's so silly. Like, there's plenty of people, like, even in my friend group of people, like in my friend group that I don't sleep with, that I find very attractive. We're not banging, but but we do like this casual flirting, like,
right.
Like, we're not going to sleep together, but we also find each other very hot. It's a thing. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Like you're going to avert your eyes. Like, I can't look at her, and I'm just like, you're gonna have a very hard time in the gym because people are scantily clad and they're like, they're jacked. So
like, and there's nothing wrong with, I guess, quote, averting your eyes, but don't gawk. You know what I mean?
Don't steal. That's weird.
Right. I love women. I may be bi, but I absolutely love women. I will always like looking at women. I think they are the superior species, and I love them to absolutely. You are. I tell my girlfriend that all the time. Women are superior to men. We need a woman president. We need more women in political offices. They're better. They're more rational in my opinion. Men cause
because
wars.
We're the ones like, women no, like, you just kind of screwed everything up. Let me teach you.
Yes.
Or let me show you the way.
No. But yeah, I'm never ever gonna, like, I tell my girlfriend, like, there's times I've scrolled through Facebook and I've found a girl, I'm like, wow, she's gorgeous. She's like, okay, let me look. And I show her, she's like, wow, she's gorgeous. Or,
oh my
hot.
God. Me and my husband will, like, that's so much the men, because I'm the only one in my household that's very attracted to men, that I just feel very alone because I can't, like, if it's a woman, me and my husband are like, okay, like, look at her, she's hot, blah blah blah. As a man, I'm just like, I'm because I live with my roommate and my kid are both trans, and they're attracted to women, or people that identify as women, or like non-binary, but like cis men, no interest. Me, I'm like, oh, that's pretty. Oh, like, yeah, hot. And they're like, and they're just like, and they just look at me, and I'm just like, I'm a very complicated person. I like all the genders.
Well, and I'm like, a lot of people, they see me on camera like, oh, he's so outgoing. You meet me in person, and I can be so awkward sometimes because I'm.
Oh my God, I'm so awkward. I don't know how to flirt. Like,
no, me neither. I'm so bad at it, dude. Like, so I'll walk up to a girl and be, duh. Like, there's times I've asked my girlfriend, like, hey, Hey,
I've
I
had
found
people like, that person was hitting on you. I'm like, they were?
that. Same.
No idea. I
No,
have no
there,
game.
and there's no,
And
I don't
to be
either.
fair, okay, to be fair, because I lived with my parents, and then I met my ex-husband, and then like I was with my ex-husband, and I married him like we met when I was in high school, then we married when I was 21. Do not recommend, by the way. And
Wait,
then
do not
I met
recommend
my
what?
current getting married at 21. Don't do it.
Oh yeah, that's
Not
too young.
like yes, do it. Like there's some people I've talked to that they've made it work, and I'm like, oh my God, like that's amazing. And then I met my current husband. I didn't like I've been in the kink community and stuff like that, but I didn't date. Like it's a different sort of social context when you're in the kink and queer community than it is like you're doing like normal dating. Like dating to me is like the Amazon. Like it's beautiful and exotic, but there's a lot of deadly snakes and tigers and like things that want to eat me in there. So I just like, oh, that's nice. Like like I'm not tricking in there. That's why I don't know if I would do if I was single. Like I don't know what I would do if like for some reason like something happened between me and my husband. We weren't together anymore. I don't know what I would do. I would just be like because I'm not going to go on Tinder because I'm not going to be able to keep up with like the social expectations of that, where you have to feed the algorithm and they feed you people you want to date. That's too much work. I'm not doing that because I can
don't
barely
know what I would
like post to like people to watch my podcast.
I don't know what I would do if I was single again. I could not go back on dating apps. Like my friends are on them right now, and all I hear is horror stories.
Like my friend, we're in the same age group, and she's in and off of dating apps, and she's like me. Like once you like, and also my best friend who is gay and he's 50. He's just like it's like yeah, I just kind of sleep with people, but I don't like I like having a relationship is just too much. And I'm like, because like how do you because then I'm like, okay, you have to be okay with that I'm queer, you have to be okay with that I'm like poly, you have to be okay with that I'm a feminist, you have to be okay with that I'm an atheist and an activist.
There's a
Like
lot.
so like, and I am not going to put up with any patriarchal like bullshit, and I'm not gonna, and I don't have the emotional currency to kind of heal you through your trauma. So you're gonna I have a lot, like there's a lot of standards. Like,
that reminds me of this time I met this oh my God, this is such a petty reason to stop talking to someone. But oh, hi. I don't know who I'm saying hi to, but saying hi.
I'm saying hi to Miss Non Sequitur.
I met this woman off Bumble, and within like seconds of us connecting, she immediately messaged me and said, "Can I call you?" And I was like, "All right, that's a little fast, but okay, fine, cool, whatever. You can call me." Called, "Hey, you want to hang out tomorrow night?" Okay, cool, we'll hang out.
But
what?
Okay.
Oh, okay. And then within a half hour of the date, she starts talking about marriage. And I'm like, is this girl fucking for real right now?
What?
And I'm like,
what?
whoa. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I'm already actually going through a divorce right now. And I'm sorry, I don't know you. She's like, well, what I'm really looking for is to marry someone. And I'm like, I'm sorry, we're not going to work out. Like,
that's weird.
Yeah, it is
that's
weird.
weird.
No.
Oh God, girl, no.
Yes. And then like a month later, she messaged me and we were texting back and forth a few times, and I shouldn't have engaged, but I did. And she's like, yeah.
Listen, you listen to your penis. It's fine. You listen to your dick. It's fine.
I was listening to my dick at that moment.
And she does not always get the best advice.
No. And she was like, yeah, I was just, this is only a month later. And she was like, yeah, I was talking to this guy. We were about to get married, but he called it off. And I'm like, what? Like, we just met 6 weeks ago. You wanted to marry me. 2 weeks later, you're talking to another guy and almost married him. And now you're messaging me. Like, that was like, boo, boo, boo. Red flags everywhere.
I have to tell you, when we're not on stream of one of my husband's weird horror ex-girl stories. I don't want to say it here because it's like I can share it with you, but I don't know if he wants me to put it out on YouTube. So,
That's
but
fair.
I'll tell you because we're friends. But it's a story. It's a story. But like I've had those stories too. Like I had, so like I've had random men just okay. I'll tell you one of my horror stories. So
Okay.
I've done various management throughout my my life, and I was working with a bunch of men, and keep in mind I am their manager. Okay. And then I start getting random, like, like I want to see your pic, and and asking me how I'm doing, and I'm like, okay. Then I get unsolicited dick pics.
Oh my! I hate when guys do that.
You get fired because I'm like, I'm your manager. And they're just like, oh, I think you're very attractive. I think you're hot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, now you're fired because and they know I'm married. One, I make it explicitly clear. Like, if I'm, especially online, I'm like, I am married. Like, you should. And then I get are you happily married? And I'm like, what? I'm
right.
like, usually when someone says I'm married, that means like, please do not flirt with me.
Exactly.
Like, that's don't like I'm in a relationship.
A hard stop. Leave it alone.
Hard stop. Nope. These guys sending me dick pics. And I'm just like, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, now you're fired. You've lost your job. Because again, the whole thing of like sexual currency, it's like, and also like when you're, or that girl that's like, I'm gonna like, I want to like, I was gonna get married. I just talked to you for 5 minutes. You seem nice. Let's it's like, whoa, hold on. Like, can we please have coffee?
That reminds me of a story. I used to live with my brother and my nephew after I separated from my ex-wife. And I was talking to this girl for a little bit, and I opened a message thinking nothing of it. I'm right next to my, at the time, 4 or 5-year-old nephew. Thank God. Thank fucking God he didn't see this.
That does not exist. The God that does not exist.
I'm sorry. I'm saying
thank the sex gods.
Okay, whatever. I opened the message,
gods, whatever God.
And it's a
thank
fucking
Bob the Wonder Toast.
It's a fucking video of her masturbating. And I was like, I lost my shit. And I flipped out on her. I'm like, dude, my fucking nephew was right next to me. What is wrong with you? And she's like, oh, sorry, I thought you want to see it. Most guys like it. And I know this wasn't the most professional way to handle it. I said, fuck you. And I blocked her.
No, that's a proper response. Because unless you say you're sexting and we've established that this is okay at this particular moment, it's like, I don't care. I don't care what gender you are. If you do that and you did not prep me, it's kind of how I feel about penis. Like, one, I'm going to tell all men out there, for any man now and in the future, don't send a girl a dick pic unless she asks you for one. Don't. Just don't.
Even if she asks,
it does nothing for us. We've all seen penis. Like we've all seen a penis. I'm like, that's a penis. That's all it does. And I'm like, now I think you're weird because I didn't ask you for the penis pic, but now you're just sending it to me random, which is sexual harassment, by the way.
Which
unless she says, I'm turned on, you're sexting, I would like a picture of your dick, don't send it because it does nothing for us. Nothing.
Well, what is wrong with men? That's my question, because all of my lady friends have horror stories of just nonstop receiving dick pics. What the fuck is wrong with men? Why do they think that's okay?
I don't like, because like this is why I have such a hard time with online forums, because like it is very like, I want to talk to someone in person and
Mhm.
like find out if we're like sexually compatible. And then like if you're any on these kink forums or whatever, it is like one bombardment of nudity, and like, and I'm like, I like it, like for me, like I understand for some people that might be tantalizing, and I'm not kink shaming at all. Like it's
No,
like
no, not at all.
that's fine. Like if you find that type set like visual stimulation tantalizing, great. I For me, I like a mystery. like I kind of want to have coffee and dinner and a couple of drinks, and invite you over to my house, and then I want to find out what you look like naked. That's kind of
Exactly.
my
I'm the same way.
that's kind of my thing.
I don't want to
Like,
know in advance. Like, let's just see what happens.
right. And I think for those of like, at first, like especially like if you just show me your genitals, and this goes for women too, like if you're a woman, don't show me, like whatever gender you are, don't show me your genitals unless I ask you.
Exactly.
Please do not. Like I don't want to make this a man thing. It's like, just don't. Like,
No, it's not acceptable.
know
It's
your
not
audience.
okay. It's not cool.
Like,
So-
and like, yes, if you have an exhibitionist kink, I get that. I'll indulge it, but let's
What's an
establish boundaries.
exhibitionist kink again? What's an exhibitionist kink again?
So an exhibitionist wants to be watched.
Oh,
Like you have
okay.
a voyeur. So like we were talking about cucks before, like wants to likes to watch it and likes the humiliation aspect. A voyeur just wants to watch people like have sex or masturbate or whatever, but like doesn't have the humiliation aspect to it. Exhibitionists want to be watched. These are the type of people who like to have sex in like semi-public. These are the type of people
okay.
like, or they are at like a swinger party, and they'll have sex in the middle of the living room, and then want everybody watch them have sex. Like that's an exhibitionist kink.
Oh, okay.
Which is,
I've done that
I
once.
will indulge, but we have to have a conversation first, and I have to make sure that we have trust. Like, you can't just do it and like semi-random you like diddling your bean, and I'm like, well, like, listen, like, what are you doing? We have not established this relationship. What are you doing?
Consent is everything.
Consent, like, there's nothing kinkier than, and like, there's nothing sexier than trust. Like trust and consent, like, it's nothing. There's nothing sexier to me than that. Like, we've agreed.
So I want your opinion on something. This reminds me of a story. I was dating this girl. This is prior to sexual engagement. And I asked her, like, hey, what are you into? What are your preferred kinks? And like, after we had sex, like a few days later, she's like, yeah, I don't know why you asked me those things. I'm like, well, I wanted to know what you were into. I'm like, I wanted to maximize pleasure for you. She's like, yeah, that's weird. Sex is just supposed to happen. You don't ask someone about it. I'm like, what?
You've watched too many
I started to feel insecure. I started to feel like, okay, was I not supposed to ask? Did I do something wrong? And yeah, she was pissed about it.
If she has said, don't ask me, I want the surprise, you would have gone, that'd be different, because you would have known, like, oh, this is what she's into. She doesn't really she just wants me to go by bodily responses or whatever. And then you can go, oh, that's what she's into. But you don't know that unless you ask questions.
Exactly. Like, to me, it's important. Like, you establish boundaries. Like, hey, are you into kinkier stuff like this? Do you prefer just raw? Do you prefer rough? If you prefer rough, do you like this? Do you like this?
Right, because please don't, like...
Yeah, communication and sex, people are terrible about it. To me, communication around sex is everything.
It's so important.
Mm-hmm. Do you realize we went this entire podcast without talking?
We did not talk. We had to change the title. Helen needs to talk about sex stuff.
Yeah, I was expecting. I thought we were going
Nope.
to talk about community building, and we
Well,
never
the
even
thing
tapped
is,
that
though, is
surface.
that like this is way more interesting.
It is way more interesting.
Because sexual politics are a thing, and I think that's really healthy. Like, well, like me, when my friend Becky was on last week, we started talking about labels, and then we also started talking about kink and polyamory because we're poly people, and we're dear friends, and it was just a thing, because yeah, like. I've had people come on and talk about building community. It's totally for it. I think it's great. But I think that talking about sexual topics, was there a topic prearranged? No, there. Okay, AJ, we were going to talk about building community. We ended up talking about kink shit, and being and like sex stuff, which I also think is a really important thing to talk about, especially amongst us skeptics people that don't, and especially those of us that have left like any sort of like shame or purity culture. Yeah, I totally forgot to read the sad thumbnail too. Triple E. You just saw that Ethan was on and you're like, okay, it's because like I'm actually gonna bring this back to the topic, because building community includes building like actual open communication about sexuality and how do we express ourselves and how we talk about these topics. Because if you grew up in any sort of purity culture, I grew up Catholic, so I know guilt makes it kinky. So you know, dress me up in a Catholic schoolgirl outfit. It's gonna be a good time. Anyway, moving on. Like when we're having these conversations, it is about just talking about sexuality with your friends. Like talking, like, and also too, like, one of my favorite psychologists, Dr. Kerr Honda. I watch his psychology in Seattle channel for years. Highly recommend. Not a sponsor. I just really like his shit. He talks about like, why are we so weird about sex? Like, you shouldn't be able to, like, if you're around your water cooler, it's like, yeah, I totally went to a swingers party this weekend, and and my girlfriend and I, like, met this really nice couple, and we had a really good time. Like, you're not going to mean graphic, but like talking about it like you went to go see the latest, like, superhero movie.
Right.
But because sex is tantalizing but taboo.
It shouldn't.
And it shouldn't, because we have a very dysregulated relationship with sex and sexuality, living in the United States. Like, yes, we want to look at it, and it's tantalizing and forbidden, but also at the same time, I don't want to acknowledge other people have sex.
Right.
And again, like my parents have had sex 6 times. That's it. There's 6 of us. They've had sex 6 times. That's all that is. I'm going to live in that world. But everybody else, like, I'm kind of like, yeah, I acknowledge that you're probably banging on the reg, or you're not. I don't really care.
Right.
But I don't feel like it should be a taboo topic, because there's 8 billion people on the planet, and that's because somebody was banging. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just think it's silly. Which I know we didn't talk about
That's
community
okay.
building at all. I'll change the thumbnail. It's fine. I don't know what title we're going to talk about.
The thumbnail.
I'm going to have to, like, a cozy chat about sex stuff. Sex. That's perfect. I should put sex, because then people will be like,
that covers it all.
That covers it all. But if you want to come back on and talk about non-tech stuff,
I feel like even if I came back on, we'd still end up
We would
going
talk-
down the round of sex because we just
That's
ramble about
that's gonna
sex
be our
for an hour
friendship,
and a half.
Ethan. We're just gonna. Oh my God! So I was what here. So I was telling my husband earlier. I was like, "Hey, my friend Ethan's gonna be on," and he goes, "Oh, hey." I'm like, he was one of the first people that I think you were the first podcast I ever did on Ask an Atheist when you had your channel like 3 years ago.
Really?
I think so. I think you were one of the first,
have to
other
go
than
back.
RFRX. I think you were like the first like podcast. Please have me back on when I'm not so awkward because I look back at that episode and I'm like, oh girl. Like,
You seem so much more confident now. I didn't realize you were my first guest, but I've definitely noticed a difference.
Thank you. Like, well, like my friend Ducky, that was on last week. Like it was a little bit rambly, but I allowed that. And he kept like, he's like DMing me afterwards, and he's like, I just felt like I was all over the place, and I'm like, it is everybody's first rodeo. Like I've been doing this for over 4 years. It is practice. Like you just over time, you just get way better over time.
You learn how to vamp. You learn how to talk.
Yeah, like when you're at the beginning, you're like, I'm just trying to fill in space, and that's how it goes. Like, yeah, I still have repetitive phrases that I say, not as much as I used to, because you listen, and also the more you do it, you listen back to yourself, and you're like, oh, I can improve on this, I can ask this, I can do that, and that's how you grow. But like the first time you do a podcast, you're going to be awkward and it's going to be weird. Yeah. And so I kept telling him, like, don't judge yourself, because the more you do this, it will get easier.
You know who the first person to ever invite me on their channel was Neil the 604 Atheist.
I love Neil.
Yeah, he's
the one that inspired the show.
Really?
Yeah, I told him, because I liked his approach to the deconversion stories, but I wanted to supply a space for those of us in this community to talk about whatever they want to talk about, and just have a conversation. Like, I'm not looking to like, talk like whatever you want. That's why I always say, what do you want to talk about? Like, it's not about me.
You say that.
And it's not about me, because they're like, wait, I'm like, no. I'm like, this is not about me. I'm just the host. And we'll go, and also too, that we'll start on topic. And if we go into another territory, that's fine as well. Like, it's not a control thing. Because we're not, also, I want this to just be like, if you were over my house and we're having like a drink and hanging out, like this is the conversation we would have, I think it was FDR that had like the fireside chats, I think it was Roosevelt, it was some president. And I always like that idea of like just talking to people like they're just people, because like we definitely have our activists and we're trying to fight against like bad ideas, but also at the end of the day, we're just people and we're humans, and there are things that we hear about. And we talked about sex for an hour and a half.
And conversations like this build communities. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I'm probably gonna have Glenda on to talk. Like we're gonna, like I told Glenda, like we were gonna plan an RFR talk, but now I'm not with RFR anymore. Oh no, let me change that. I'm volunteering with RFR Australia. I'm gonna be doing fundraising stuff for them. Cool. And I'm also going to be working with Durante's organization, Bridge City, doing fundraising for them, and doing like all that type of stuff, because I want to make all the atheist money. Nice. I'll make all the atheist money, everybody. Anyway, okay. So, how can people find you, Ethan?
Very easily. YouTube.com/YFNAtheist, or just search your friendly neighborhood atheist. I'm not going to promote my Twitter because, Twitter sucks at this point.
You need to be on BlueSky because you don't want to be in the bad place.
But I want to be in the bad place. Facebook is facebook.com/Ethan F as in Frank Micheal. Micheal is Micheal, not AEL. Everyone gets that wrong.
Thank you. When you told me to correct that, I was like, okay, I'll fix it.
Everyone does it. It's okay. I literally have just gotten in the habit.
That's your parents' fault.
It's my mom's fault specifically. She insists she did it purposefully because she wanted it to be different. And I, to this day, be like, "You're full of shit, Mom. You misspelled it."
So on my birth certificate, you'll never guess my middle name, by the way. I will tell people, like, guess my middle name. It begins with A, and they say like Ann or, some kind. It's Almedia. It was supposed to be Armedia, which was my grandmother's middle name, but it was spelled wrong on my birth certificate, and my mom just stuck with it. She's like, it's Almedia, and I'm like, so that's my middle name, and that's why I'm like, you'll never guess it. You'll never guess it.
I wouldn't guess that.
No. And then like, I kind of wish that like I'm probably going to have to name a cat Almedia just so I can have like some other thing to pass this down to. Cause I feel like that would be appropriate. and the cat protest.
Yeah.
Okay. So also, Ethan's link is for his channel is in the doobly-doo. So do that. If you want to be on the podcast, or you know someone that should, or you want me to be on your podcast, email me here. Also, I'm booked till like mid-June. So if you want to be on the podcast, you might have to be on a different day, or you have to wait till like June, July. So
that's awesome. I'm glad you booked up.
I am so like I know a lot of people, and people are also recommending people to me to be on the show. So I really appreciate all you wonderful people out there. So like, subscribe. I'm here like I'll post. I like ringing the bell. Fine. Because I feel like ringing the bell is good for people that like do videos. Because they might. But for me, like, it's Thursday and Mondays. And like, if you follow me on the social media, so I'll just tell you when I'm going to post a show. Give me that. So, I should tell you who's on next week. So Monday, I'm going to be on, where Ethan's going to be producing for Secular Rising's fundraiser. So go check us out there on Monday. Give money. Everybody likes money. We're gonna make all the atheist money.
Hopefully, yeah.
All the atheist money. Okay, so that's next Monday. Next week I have Jason Friedman on, who I'm friends with from the ACA. He's going to be back on again. What are we talking about? I have no idea. No idea. And then the following. I'm in the wrong month. Hold on. And then my friend Val, who is a Twitch streamer, and I'm at Dr. Van, they're going to be on the day after my birthday, which is April 10th, and we're going to talk about the weird Catholic cult that she grew up in. So that'll be fun. So do all this thing, and then I'm going to be on Let's Talk on Skeptic Haven on April 6th with Neil the 604 Atheist, and then I'm going to be on Neil's show on April 12th. So that's what I have coming up on the things. And I'm going to be on the nonprofits again on the week of April 6th. So that too. Also, if you want to see me talk to people on TikTok every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, if you subscribe to the Atheist Community Boston's channel, unless I'm sick or I just hate life, I'm usually there. So, Ethan, other than your channel, do you have anything cool coming up? You're going to be on anybody's podcast? You're going to evade?
No, I've taken a long break. I'm just now getting back into things.
I'm glad you're back, though. I missed you.
Oh, thank you.
I missed you. I'm I'm when we reconnected again, I'm just like, you made me happy. So,
thanks.
You bring me joy.
Well, this was a great show. I had a lot of fun. Time flew by so fast. I feel like we could have went on forever. But no, in
the pre-chat, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to talk about. I was like, oh no, trust me,
I was
ADHD
nervous.
people. We got content.
Right. Other than Secular Rising's podcast, Monday night, check it out. I got nothing else going on though.
All right, so we're just gonna do Monday nights, and then so go do that, and then also if you want to have him on your podcast, just bug him.
Yeah. Facebook's the best way to reach me, not Twitter.
Yeah. So okay, and not Twitter, not Twitter, the non-Twitter. We're just gonna get you on BlueSky and be part of that. All right. Good night, everybody. Be kind.
Thanks, Helen.
You're welcome. Be kind. Be compassionate. Stay skeptical. Give someone a compliment this week, and I will see you all next week. So bye, everybody. Mwah. Check out Secular Rising's fundraiser next Monday. Give some money. Share the link. Do all the things. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.